Talking about that good money. What we talking about? We talking about philanthropy. Coach Kia Croom playing A, B, and a C. It's no fantasy. She can make it reality. Best in the field like a first-string athlete. Fundraising and marketing, she get tactical. Tackle your issues with a playbook so your cash can grow. She can show you just what to do. Coach Kia Croom, when she touch down, it's the W. Coach Kia, put me in the game, Coach. Coach Kia, put me in the game, Coach. Coach Kia, put me in the game, Coach. You an all-star, show me how the game go, 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 go.
Hello out there. You already know what it is. It's Winning Wednesday. What's your favorite fundraiser? That's right, I am her, and I said your favorite fundraiser. It's all good. Kia Croom here, the one and only. I want to know where you're winning from. If you're on the live on Facebook, if you're on LinkedIn, talk to me. I talk back. Let me know where you're winning from. I want to know what you're working on this week, what you're looking forward to this week. Talk to a sister. Let me know what's going on with you. Again, want to welcome you to another installment of Winning Wednesdays on the Fundraising and Marketing Playbook Podcast, where we bring you tactical fundraising and marketing plays. Why? Because we want you to win. We want fundraisers to win, marketers to win, and we want to converge the worlds of marketing and fundraising, because the work that we're doing is changing the world, it's changing lives, it's making things better. So we all win together, right? All right. If you have tuned in with me, on a prior podcast, or whether you're tuning in for the first time, let me thank you. I want to share with you that the Fundraising and Marketing Playbook Podcast is brought to you by Kia Croom Fundraising and Philanthropy, a Black woman-owned fundraising firm rooted in equity and inclusion. Why? Because inclusion is as inclusion does. And that's what we do. And I can't leave out my fabulous sponsor, Bonterra, a social good software company dedicated to powering those who power social impact with best-in-class case management, corporate social responsibility, and fundraising and engagement solutions. Shout out to Bonterra. Now, we have got an exciting conversation for you today. If you are a frontline fundraiser, an executive director, or a CEO or SheEO, as I call myself, whoever you be, you know this phenomenon, this subject matter will resonate strongly with you. So without further ado, I got to introduce you to the lady of the hour, one of my roadies, colleagues and friends, fundraising extraordinaire, Miss Kyle B. Rahn. How are you, dog? Welcome.
I am fabulous. And hey, happy International Day of Women.
Yes. Yes.
Nothing gives me chills more than to look at you and see what you're doing.
Thank you, dog.
As you said, making a difference you do in the lives of those you serve and touch. So for all the women who are watching, have a great one, because we've worked hard, the women who've come before us and myself and Kia, and we'll keep on keeping on, and we're getting there. We're getting there.
We're getting there. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We got Twin Cities in the house. Twin Cities in the house. Yes. Glad to see you winning out there, Noah. Happy to see your face on here. Love it.
I have family in Egan. So
family. Oh, and you know how cold it is. Look, we had a trip out there. We remember how cold it gets in the Twin Cities. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Y'all ain't got to worry about me until the summer, because it's too doggone cold for a sister out there. But loving the Twin Cities, have done some amazing life-changing work in the Twin Cities. So shout out to the Twin Cities and shout out to Noah for hanging out here with us. So Miss Kyle B. Rahn, got one question for you, madam. You're on the mic now. What's the play? What's the play?
Here it is. The play is creating cohesive teams while encouraging a culture of philanthropy.
Woo! Now that's a whole word. Listen, can you say that one more time for the people in the back that didn't hear you?
One more time. Drum roll, please. Creating a cohesive teams while creating a culture and encouraging a culture of philanthropy. Boom.
Let's talk about this. I got lots to look, lots to discuss here. Why is this a thing? Well, why is this a thing? Like in organizations, you've worked in several. In your career, I've worked in several. Like, why is this even a thing?
It has to be a thing because your leader should embody it and bring it down through the organization. Okay. Cohesiveness across the organization. It's a thing because the reality is you and I both have been development officers at the highest level. I've also been a CEO. And when you have departments that aren't working together or don't see them as, they see themselves as disparate forces, it makes it much harder to move the organization and the mission forward. So you must create a culture of philanthropy through cohesive work. And I think we can talk about some specific examples of consulting we've done and work environments we've been in where it's not been conducive to cohesiveness, which in turn doesn't allow us to create a culture of philanthropy.
Absolutely. And this, let's be clear, this is make or break stuff. Make or break.
And it does start at the top. It does. Your CEO, or if I'm speaking to a CEO, must embody this cohesiveness, the importance of it. It must be in the ethos of the organization vis-a-vis the CEO and down across organizationally, department to department, working together to create that philanthropy.
So we're talking not just fundraising, because we know in the fundraising team, we get it. Because I'm going to be honest. Y'all know that's the only way I know how to be. And I say the things that folks be scared to say and scared to ask sometimes, because we know that, you know, a sister's a risk taker. I have literally worked in environments where it felt like it was development versus everybody, where development or advancement was met with fear and resistance. You know, whenever we would come, like, let's say that I've got an ideation discussion with a funder, right? And I want to back up and say that having been a programs person, I've curated and put together all kinds of fantastic, impactful programs, as I know you have also. Some of us fundraisers don't necessarily have that lived experience, right? So granted, I have that and you have that. I think that we have a certain emotional intelligence, which is half the battle when you're trying to kind of get people on board with a strategy, right? But I digress. But what I want to say is this. It's been development versus everybody. The slightest request to programs counterparts in some environments is a huge inconvenience and imposition. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. I'm fundraising to keep us paid. I'm fundraising so that you magically get that check, that direct deposit in your account every other week or 2 weeks, semi-monthly, bi-weekly. So where is the beef? Like, I don't even know, where is the beef? I'm like, listen, I'm just trying to make sure we're all paid.
But I think your question falls right where it should. Where is the beef? First of all, the beef should be with your leader who's not creating an environment where it's equitable, which is really important to us. It's equitable across the organization. And the importance isn't just development, but we've had the rub. I've had the rub with finance team. Don't want to help develop the budget for this proposal or this grant. And leadership, executive leadership, has to have the onus of saying, look, no one's better than the other. No one's doing more important work. You will often hear, and I've heard this time and time again, other departments say, well, development's paid a lot more. That's not true. We're seeing this borne out within the industry, in the nonprofit industry. We're just now starting to be paid based on the depth and breadth of what we bring relationship-wise and development-wise. So working with, let's just use programs, for example, Kia, good one. You working with them hand in glove. I was just talking in another meeting right before I joined here, the importance of having a program officer who can work with the development professional, with a potential funder, albeit foundation, corporation, or a major donor, and articulate the need, the inputs and outcomes, so that the development officer who brought the relationship to bear, who put the foundation or prospect in the position to listen to us, where the development team and the programs team are simpatico, hand in hand, one in one. That is critical and essential to driving a healthy funding relationship. Absolutely. Instead, what often happens is we're having to talk that program officer into being in that meeting. And that, well, what do you want me to say? I want you to tell them what your great work we're going to do in this funding priority. And you don't have to make the ask. Just talk about our work and how lives will be changed. Our work will be changed. If the input of a grant or a gift will happen, then the outcomes could be. That's all you have to do.
All you got to do.
But instead, often the development officer, albeit, like I said, it could be finance, it could be marketing. I can go into marketing. I'll talk about that in a second. Often the development officer is begging. I hate to use that word because we do not like that word in fundraising, but I'm begging my own team member to work with me and show up to this meeting. And honestly, if you're doing your work in programs, all you have to do is show up and talk about what we're talking about, the program we want funded. It makes it so much more salient to the potential funder because it's not just the salesperson, the development person talking. It's the person who's on the front lines, usually building the program, seeing the change effect. But again, you have this discord or dissonance that they call in music, unless your primary leadership says, we are going to work together because together we're going to move much, much farther, faster. So this also happens with marketing. And there's been a wave afoot the last 10 years to combine development and marketing departments, which I think is very efficient because marketing tells the development story, or in the for-profit world, the sales story, right?
Right.
But if they're two separate departments, marketing often says, I don't know what you want me to do. I need collateral. I need a sales sheet. I need you to take programs inputs and put them in a form and fashion that's salient to a potential funder. So they often, and please, listener, understand, I don't think anyone does this intentionally, but it's a resistance to, why do you need my help? So that's why I said you have to create a culture, a cohesive culture. And that starts with your CEO, ED, and executive leadership. And not taking any prisoners, not saying, hey, Department A, you cannot do this. You got to show up, put up, and help development. Or development, you need to sit down with finance and work on that budget and pull in programs to make sure it ticks and ties so that we move this ball down the field or hit the ball over the net, whatever euphemism or scenario you want to call it, but we have to work together. And in doing so, then we build a culture of philanthropy.
No, this is great. I mean, because you're looking at me and I'm smiling. You've known, it hasn't always been a smile there, especially when you're in the midst of this, right? And one of the things that I think has worked in my favor when I've seen this done right or made my best effort to do it. And I've had this experience both in environments where there was that leader encouraging and sanctioning where that dissonance reared its ugly head, and also rewarding in those instances in which we were able to get our acts together across departments. Right now, one thing that worked to my advantage, I'm a journalist, have a bachelor's in journalism, was going to be in broadcast. So when it comes time for me to engage with my program counterparts, for instance, rather than going to them like I've seen in some environments, the frontline fundraiser goes to them and says, hey, we've got this proposal due, need you to fill this grant question out, right? And they're like, now I can kind of see the side eye in that respect, if I'm being honest with you, which is the only way I know how to be, right? What I do is schedule time, respect, I've given them the lay of the land before. Pre-reads are our friend, whether folks get to read them or not. At least you did your due diligence, because I've been in environments where the fundraisers really had a target on their back. So we tried to really ingratiate ourselves and make everything super, super convenient for folks. So I've sent you the RFP, whatever the case may be, or some pull-out points or highlights pertinent to what we're looking to accomplish, right? Get in a Zoom or an in-person meeting, and I'm asking you the questions that I would need to respond to with your input, rather than having you to write and do all of that, because I understand, again, not all programs, folks, are fundraisers. And there's this whole thing that we talk about in fundraising called donor-centric language, and so on and so forth. Now, there might be a fundraiser watching this and saying, okay, Key, I ain't got time to do all that. They just need to write on there, what have you. Or perhaps if you are talking about or writing about a program, right? And you've not had the benefit of seeing that program at work and seeing, this is an opportunity for you to, as your fundraising, have your fundraising hat on and go and experience that, so that you can bring that perspective, in filling this out, right? I've done that. Filling out this grant application, I've done that and brought that experience to it. But I just take it on the chin and have a conversation. I've got my recorder, or we're in Zoom and I'm recording, and just capture the response straight from the horse's mouth, right? That program's person, so that I can go and do my part and move on. And my program's counterparts have always appreciated that, right? Now, I've worked in environments where it wasn't encouraged across the organization. The leader wasn't necessarily beating the drum about the importance of the culture of philanthropy, and it was a train wreck going down fast. Sparks on the tires, sparks on the railroad track, and it was like, oh yeah, this is getting a little more contentious than I am getting paid to tolerate, or it's expensing me more than, I should. And I got the heck up out of there, when an opportunity presented, because it's really important that everyone be on an accord. Nobody's asking you, or at least if you've got a consummate professional like myself or Kyle, no one's asking marketing programs. You mentioned finance and accounting to do anything that's outside of your bailiwick of duties, right? Just needing participation, engagement. If we're building a budget, now one thing I have seen fundraisers do, which I don't think is the best practice, is waiting to the 11th hour and, hit wanting folks to get things to you in a frenzy. That's going to be met with resistance. You're going to have you're going to get those side eyes when people see that email from you in their inbox or you're on Zoom, so what you're saying is so important. And I think you've given a great example. You've provided a great example of how leaders should be doing this, right?
Yes. And to what you just said, Kia, for those development officers who are struggling with this, that can't get that culture of philanthropy through cohesive team building, is that one of the things that I've seen effective is for the development officer who is asking that other department, and let's use for the sake of this discussion programs, is project manage the whole scenario. So in other words, I need to meet with funder A 2 weeks from now, and I want my counterpart in programs to co-present with me or talk about the potential opportunity for funder A. So project manage this. If we're going to meet on the 15th and today, or the what's today, the 18th, the 16th, that's 8 days away. What do we need to do now internally to help my counterpart be comfortable, and also let the CEO ED know what we're doing, which in turn, whether the CEO or ED is building the cohesive team, if not, this will project manage and help your boss along as well. So what I've done effectively is said, okay, end game is the 8th, the 16th, the meeting at 1:00. Right. Then I need to present to my counterpart in programs what I'll be speaking about, what the potential proposal is. Here's the budget, and here are your specific talking points that I would like for you to cover, and maybe even pepper that with a few, here are some potential questions the funder A might ask you. Send that to them in a pre-read and do a pre-meet, not too far out from the 16th.
Yeah.
But maybe the day before, have them then feel comfortable that you're able to field any questions they have and give them that level of comfort where they don't feel so put upon. And to your point, it's not a frenetic, hey, I need you tonight to get ready for this meeting tomorrow morning or tomorrow at 1:00. And thus you have the CEO who, when you say, my counterpart over in programs and I are meeting with funder A on the 16th, the CEO may say, oh, I would love to be a part of that. Or great, let me know how it goes. Okay.
Yeah, we got some great feedback in the comments here. Somebody saying that this is an issue that they see in higher education, in institutional advancement. And I imagine that is a real challenge. I mean, when we're talking about a university and, working across departments, right? Working across colleges. I mean, yeah, I'm curious, and I may have to get somebody on here to paint the picture of how this is working in institutions of higher learning, because I can say that in the community-based nonprofits, yeah, I've seen my share of this happening. Had a brief experience in institutional advancements. But what I can say about that is, to your point, Kyle, in that role, my department did have command of both the marketing and the fundraising function, right? And this was a small technology college in Maryland. And because we had that creative authority, we were zipping and flying, right? And things were going well. Because I have seen in Marcom, right, in the Marcom function, when there are individual, and this is most often the case, they are not always fundraising professionals. So that whole notion of donor-centric language, that whole notion of strategies, like I don't care if we're creating a welcome packet, for instance, because we want to effectively cultivate, new subscribers to our newsletter, etc. Right? I've been in environments where the Marcom function didn't necessarily get it right initially, and it took us collaborating, and at times I might have written some creative or co-created. And, once there was that real sound understanding, to your point, about what the objective is, what the outcome is, we were humming and sailing from that point on, right? I think that what has to happen, and I'm having this epiphany as you and I are having this conversation, I think that folks do have to welcome the conflict to a degree and be willing to address it and say, listen, not trying to step on anybody's toes. And I've used this approach. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. I'm certainly not trying to add more work to your plate or anybody else's. And I sure don't want nobody doing that to me. But here's what it's going to take to achieve A, B, or C, or all of the above. Can I count on you?
And I think help. The next part of that, here's what I need. It's maybe even prefaced with, here's what I need, but more importantly, what do you need to help us in getting this done? And then, in fact, the defensiveness for the other department is relaxed because now they have a voice. And part of it, their reticence or displeasure can often just be that they don't really know or understand. And Kia, I would be remiss if I didn't share this. One of the challenges with other departments that they don't see the value and the benefit in development is the long runway and time it takes us to build this potential funder relationship and maintain it. So often when they're dismissive, it's the lack of understanding and information of what it took us to get to this potential meeting or discussion, and how important it is, not just for Kia or Kyle or John Q in development, but to the overall organization. And if we work together, then it's a win-win for everybody. To your point about that paycheck, many, many times I felt like my counterparts are, there's Kyle, she's out there ringing that bell, making it happen. Every Friday I get my paycheck. They don't think about it. I'm the one laying in bed at night going, if we don't get this done together, or get this funded together, or get that budget done out of finance, or get that sales sheet out of marketing, that paycheck won't be there. And often I feel as though my counterparts don't have that concern. But if I articulate it to them, what I'm feeling and thinking when I go home at night and my concern, then they have some ownership. And they go, wow, it's more than just getting this meeting done. She's really thinking the end game. And that's why when I talk about creating a cohesive teams, that starts at the top. One of the things about President Reagan that made him so effective in his leadership was Reaganomics started at the top and trickled down. That's leadership. Talking about it, embodying it, and making sure everybody understands and knows how important that cohesiveness is to the organization and working together.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm just going to be transparent. One thing that, well, there was one time when I did call myself articulating to counterparts how I was feeling, right? The implications of not getting a gift, not getting a grant, losing favor with a particular philanthropy. And it was viewed as, oh, well, she's weaponized the fact that, they're fundraising and bringing the dollars in. So I want to say to the people out there listening, while we should be able to emote and level set with our colleagues, you don't want to find yourself in that turf war that I did where, a person felt like, oh, well, you're saying, well, I'm fundraising and getting everybody paid. And, so, off rolling letting down the guillotine, for folks that are getting away. Not at all, but perfectly fine to, give that nuance and that lay of the land to counterparts, like a day in the life of the work. Like, here's what's at play here. Here's what's at stake. Right. But I just thought I'd share that. But I got to tell you, Kyle, I really enjoyed this conversation. And I think that it was, enriching. It might have been a little cathartic looking at the comments here. Folks, this resonates with folks. Might have been a little cathartic. Glad we could provide this is a safe space. Nice. Glad we could provide that catharsis and explore some solutions and, exemplars of how this works when it's done right. And I just got to thank you for stopping by and hanging out with us.
Thank you for the invitation. It was great. And I'm glad I could be a part of this special day.
Thank you. And for y'all who, whether you're first timer or whether you are faithful, my faithfuls, we are here each and every Wednesday. We're winning on Winning Wednesdays on the Fundraising and Marketing Podcast. And you might not know, if you don't know the jingle, the Coach Kia, put me in the game, Coach. You'll hear that jingle and know and love that song just as much as I do. And just like that, we're out of here. See you next week.
Yeah, Coach Kia. What up? Talking about that good money. What we talking about? We talking about philanthropy. Coach Kia Croom playing A, B, and a C. It's no fantasy. She can make it reality. Best in the field like a first-string athlete. Fundraising and marketing, she can tactical. Tackle your issues with a playbook so your cash can grow. She can show you just what to do. Coach Kia Croom, when she touch down, it's a W. Coach Kia, put me in the game, Coach. Coach Kia, put me in the game, Coach. Coach Kia, put me in the game, Coach. You an all-star, show me how the game go, 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 go.